at this point, I would like to directly jump in to our software, Polysun SPT, and I have opened it here in the browser. It's a browser-based online application. And I already have set up a project for you, which is here located in Winterthur in Tachlisbrunnenstraße 37. Winterthur is the headquarters here in Switzerland of our company. And as you can see, the save button here on the top left is blinking, so Polysun SPT is guiding you easily from step to step. And also, please, I'd ask you if it goes too quickly or too slow, just let me know and I will slow down, speed up. The first step of a project is to design the building or the first building of the whole complex you're planning, the whole district. So let's choose from these 7 types of roofs. And actually, you can also have either more rigid planning by filling in this mask, here this form, or you can have a user-defined planning, which I would like to show you now. I'm showing you the more interesting features, but you can also have an easy start by simply typing in dimensions of a ridge roof. If you decide for a building of custom shape that looks such as for example, like this one here on the right-hand side, with elevated photovoltaics on it, you first have to design a building height, which would be, for example, 10 meters, and the slope of the roof. In this case, it's flat, so I'll just leave it at 0. And then also, Polysun allows to calculate the snow load and the wind load based on data such as location, which we have already entered, and data such as the height of the building. And this is easy. You can just click in this field of snow load here, and Polysun shows you the zone we're located in, which is in 0 meter height above sea level. So the only thing Polysun asks you now is to click and confirm this zone. And Polysun has calculated a snow load of 0.9. The wind load it's done similar, but just a little different. In this case, we need the zone, which is 0.9 kilonewton per square meter, which we confirm here. And we also need an exposure. Here. And the easiest way to start drawing a building is using guiding lines. If you use more guiding lines, later on it gets easier to get the shape of the building you actually need to. So let me start with that. I will select the guiding line tool here on the left side and then simply connect the edges of the building. And whenever you press and hold down Shift while drawing, the line automatically snaps in a 90-degree angle. So this helps us to get like nice shapes in an easy manner. I will just continue drawing the lines until the building is, let's say, fully defined. So we will exclude this, let's say, tower. It's not really a tower, but let's just call it like that for simplicity reasons. And now I will click on the pencil tool here, and I will drawing easily alongside the points I have already made, the crossings, and to define the roof. So let's do that. And you can see here I have actually forgot one, but by clicking Shift again, we can easily have the 90-degree angle, which is also displayed here, and just keep following the points until the whole roof is drawn and all is rectangular. Perfect. So now we're set up here, and we can see the height of the building. And also at this step, it's important to already set the direction of the modules. Of course, per default, the modules are aligned facing south or completely east-west if you use the east-west setup. And to have the south set, to have it facing alongside the edge of the building, you need to use this A tool, which is, I think, German for something like orientation. So let's just put this facing at this edge one here so it points inwards to the building, like that. Now we'll click on Save, and we have confirmed our building, and I click again on Save here, and now everything is in the tool. You have set up your building, and you can start with the next section, PV modules. At this point, do you already have any questions? No questions here so far, I assume. So let's just continue. And we are now in the module, in the PV module of the tool. And here you can select from a broad catalog of PV modules. So here you can see my favorites, which will be created automatically. And you can also go to the PV module selection, which includes a vast catalog. And in case you are missing a module here, you can simply shoot us a message. Best if you attach already the module data sheet, and then we can include it into our database. And one question is, if I please could explain once again. So basically, in the end, if you stay till the very end, you will automatically get sent the recording of this video. So you can just play it more slowly and see exactly how to deal with our software. And once I have selected, I need to first select the manufacturer, which maybe could be, I'm just choosing Megasol now, and I can select a module, maybe one of 330 watts. And I click on Save. The module is automatically selected, and I get to the next step. At this point, I can, for example, choose an angle at which I would like the modules to be tilted. I'll just leave it at 15 degrees for now, and I will click on Save to get to the module plan. Here, you can start positioning your modules and will have the first 3D view. So we can have a look at the building, maybe decide if we need to make any changes to it, or if we are satisfied with it. And you could maybe decide for smaller modules to better use the space. Or if you are happy with the selection, you can also start simply putting the modules in a more central way so it looks nicer. Like that. And also at this stage, it's the first point where you can get a nice 3D view of your building and show to your partners or customers. If I click on 3D view here, at first it looks not too nice yet, but we can use different map data, for example, Google Maps here, to have an overlay with the Google Maps. And also these building data here is already included in Polysun SPT. And I will for now just click on hide buildings to have a nicer visualization. And you can see now how the building is here displayed at the exact location. And you can show this include this in your project report. And now at this stage, I would like to show you the heart of our Polysun SPT software. It's the e-designer. At this point, you can start your energy planning. To do so, just click on Add Planning. And now you have one planning selected. You can see it here with the orange frame around it. And you can give it a name, such as, we will start with a simple planning. Let's call it simple planning. And the first step when doing a simple planning is adding the PV modules to it. In this case, PV modules are located on two roofs. Two roofs because they're facing east and west, and that's why they're separated and displayed here as two roofs. So I will include all the roofs, so I have the modules facing east and the modules facing west. In total, it's a number of 54. And I will, as a next step, start adding a dimensioning layout, which refers to selecting the inverter. This is the really important thing you need to actually get simulation results. So you need an inverter in your PV system. I'll click on Add Dimensioning Layouts. And at the first step, I need to set an inverter manufacturer, which could be SMA Solar Technology. I click on Variations, Calculate Variations, and Polysun now automatically chooses from all the inverters that are in our database and selects the best inverter from it. And of course, if you feel like there's anything missing in our database, again, same as with the PV modules with the inverters, just send us a short email, attach the data sheet, and we will include it. I will now click on Use Variations to confirm the suggestion of Polysun, and the selected inverter manufacturer and the system is included in our planning. And now I have one question is regarding shadowing. So the calculation of the shadowing is influenced by the horizon here. And you can edit the horizon. The default data of the horizon, because maybe you're planning a system in the valley, in the mountains, the data, here the horizon in blue, it comes from, it's the same source as our meteor data. So regarding your location, data regarding meteor data and also location horizon data is loaded automatically. For example, if you know there's also a building next to it, so the horizon now only includes geography such as mountains, but no tall buildings. But if you know there's a skyscraper in front of your building, then you can simply add this obstacle here with the including tools. You can define the obstacle by entering the start and end values for the azimuth and also the horizon here, all in degrees. So for example, if I know there's something here facing south and has a certain height, I can simply type in the azimuth start with, let's say, -30. I can type in azimuth end with, let's say, -10. And then I can type in the horizon. So for example, it could be 30. And if I now click on generate, the obstacle is automatically generated. And Polysun is also visualizing here the sun, how the sun is actually going. And it does so in June and also in December. So you can see now that on the June 21, actually it's not affected your system, but on December 21, it is shadowed for quite some time. And the horizon you're drawing here, it will affect your simulation. You just need to be aware of that. For simplicity reasons, all modules are regarded as they are in one spot. So you have to, when designing a system, for example, look for where would be the center of your building, and then from there on, plan the horizon setting. And let's get back to our planning. To do so, I click on the home button here to PV planning to find our planning again. And I will now add to this simple planning a consumer, which you might need if you, for example, want to evaluate the self-consumption. I click on Add Consumer, And now I can choose from a variety of profiles. For example, residential profile, and we can also here add up a lot of profiles. We can also, for example, look for a car, for an electric vehicle. So we can, for example, use the compact car night charge commuter. And Polysun already fills in some default value, which you can scale up for the whole year. So the residential profile, for example, it has large consumption at evening when people are returning home, and there's also higher consumption on the weekends. So this profile can be scaled to any value which seems reasonable for you. So in this case, it might be 20,000 kilowatt hours, as there's more people living in here. And also the compact car, I will just type in a number of 35,000. You can enter any reference values here that you have from your project. And I will click on Save, and the consumers are included in the system. If I now click here on Simulate, then the data is sent to our Polysun calculation engine, which is working in the background. So actually, the simulation is done step by step. We have a dynamically time step calculation, so it depends on how large the changes are. For example, at night there's no sun, so there's a larger resolution, smaller resolution, so your calculation is actually done faster. And when there's a large change because of the weather data, the irradiation changes quickly, then also the simulation has a higher resolution to give you more precise results. And that's also why it takes a while. Usually it takes up to 1 minute. And now it says simulated. The button here is gray, and you can start viewing your results. So you can, for example, go into yield values to have a tabular view of your results. You can see the PV generation power. You can see the specific annual yield, which basically tells you if your positioning is well, how your, let's say, how efficient, it's some value of efficiency. And you also have the total consumption here regarding your consumers, and you have the self-consumption, which tells you how much energy, how much electricity is actually consumed by the PV you have, by the produced electricity. What you also can do is you can have a look at the graphs. So here you have a combined graph of annual flow values, such as the PV yields and also the self-consumption and to external grid and the total electrical consumption. So we can see in summer, the total consumption is almost double, and in winter, the total electricity consumption is very high and the PV yield is relatively low. And one more option you can, for example, test is now one case could be you want to compare if it's worth actually adding a heat pump. And you can do so by copying your planning. You can simply click on copy, and then you can click on add heat pump. And Polysun easily guides you step by step to selecting the right heat pump for you. As a calculation basis, you can select heated area, also annual heating. For now, I will just leave everything as Polysun suggests it. The heating area is 200 square meter. Maybe in our case would be a little higher. More families are living here. Let's put 400 square meters. I can choose the domestic hot water for, let's say, 16 persons. And the components here can be selected, and Polysun already makes a suggestion which is right for the system. This case would be 25 kilowatt heat pump and a tank volume with 1,200 liters. If I click on Save now, the heat pump will get added to the system automatically. And if I click on Simulate, then the system is going to be simulated. The values are again sent to our system in the background. And once the results are ready, the Polysun engine sends the results back to your web application. Do you have any more questions at this time? If you have any questions along the way, just feel free to type them in here. And I would like to now show you one more feature is now if you want to evaluate actually if it makes sense to have added a heat pump or not, you can click on compare plannings. Before doing so, I will just give this planning another name. So at first we had simple planning. This one will be planning including heat pump. And if you really want to see what's actually calculated in the background, you can click on this info sign here and you will see what Polysun does. So we have a system with a storage tank, hot water, cold water, and heating. And also we have the PV system, the consumer, and the grid. And now if you want to see if it made sense to add the heat pump, we can click on compare plannings, select the two plannings you would like to compare, click on compare plannings again. We can see the PV yield is the same for both plannings, of course. However, the total electricity consumption is way different. So in the planning with heat pump, in winter, it's really high. And in summer, it's low, probably just providing the hot water. And we can also have a look at the self-consumption, which is higher in summer, as now we can actually use the PV panels to provide hot water for our system. Now in this case, if you want to get a professional report, you can click here on project report, select the details you would like to include, such as yield values. You can select here if you want to have total report, simple report, or just select and deselect options manually. Then you can click on show and the PDF is automatically generated in the back. It also can take up to 1 minute as data needs to be sent to the generating module and the PDF needs to be created. We can have a look how it looks like. So you will have the inverter layout here. You will have the yield values, the energy flow, all the data basically. You have some module dates, which is also module details, which is important. We have an energy flow diagram. So at this stage, you can have already some good energy analysis, which you can share. And if you want to, one question is also regarding the voltage rating of the panel. So if you want to get details about the panels you're actually using, you can click on the info sign here, and you can see details such as the open circuit voltage, the output voltage at maximum power point under standard testing conditions. So here you can see all the values of interest. Finally, once you're happy with one or the other planning, you can switch over to the economy field. And once the system has loaded, you can here load in the e-designer data, so you don't have to fill in values such as the electricity consumption anymore. It's getting filled in for you automatically. So I can click on load e-designer data and then decide which planning I want to evaluate. In this case, I opt for the heat pump as it's really nice how I can use my PV production in summer for the hot domestic water. And I click OK, it's getting loaded in here. I think it's already been in here as it's the last planning. I can click on calculate and Polysun provides me with charts for the annual lead, purchase savings, and also an amortization schedule. And also the result here in tabular view. So you can use it to have an easy and quick calculation of your economy. Now we still have 15 more minutes, and also I have a plan what I want to show you. I want to show you more options how to design buildings, which is an important part of our software. And also I would like to show you how to export a project into Polysun desktop so you can detail it further on in there. And is there maybe something else you would like to see during this webinar? Definitely at this point, I would also like to let you know that it's easy to get a free trial version on our website. So there are no costs attached. It will expire automatically after 30 days. So just order it. You click on free trial version. You will get on the product page. You can choose the SPT, which is the one I have presented to you now. Click on it. If you want also to test the export to another tool, you can also test our other softwares, or maybe you think, no, actually, I want to focus on heating systems, then you should also download Polysun Designer. If you want to focus on electricity, you should start with SPT and then export your project into the designer to then further detail it there. And let's jump back quickly to our software. And also, if you order until the December 17th, there's a 10% off Christmas discount for the first year. If you want to design building districts, you can easily do so by opening the Roof Manager, which you can either find here in next to current roof, or you can click on the roof section and then click on Manage Roofs. And here you can create a new roof, such as the tower we have earlier excluded from our planning as it has different height. We click on Save, and we can now open the tower and start drawing it. It will also be of a type of custom elevator roof. It has a larger height. Let's say it has 13 meters height. It's also flat, so the slope of the roof is 0. And this time I would like to have a modules facing south. So they will only be facing south and not have the V-dome structure you have seen earlier. Again, I will calculate the snow load just as before. I will just confirm the height here. I will confirm the wind load. And I will again click on Draw Import. And now you can see already the existing building, it's already gray, slightly gray here. And now we can use that as a reference. You can see it snaps automatically into the corners here when I select the guiding line tool. And I will just connect these two edges, and now we can align the new building along the old one. And I will draw the tower here. So it's actually just filling in this space. And also the tower, let's say if you want to exclude some areas, for example, that here in the left corner, there will be some equipment be installed. You can start with drawing interference areas. Once you have drawn a building here, like that one, anything else you will draw next will be automatically categorized as interference area. So I will select again the drawing tool here, and I will draw the equipment here in the upper left corner, and I will click and hold down Shift to have it aligned with the guiding line. And now on the right hand side here, you can put some more details into your interference areas. For example, you can select interference area 1, and per default, it's categorized as a window. In this case, we don't want it to be a window. We actually want it to be a small equipment. Maybe it has a height of 500 millimeters. And we can also give it a name. And also, again, as before, if you want to have the orientation not exactly facing south, but actually orientated along the edge of the building, you need to select the orientation tool here. And Polysun helps you always to find out what's the correct method to install panels. For example, if you're unsure if you want to install them facing south or east-west, you can use Polysun to run simulations. First try with east-west and then try with south, and then you can evaluate actually what works best for your project. I will click on save now. So this project is the second roof is also taken into account. I will again select a PV module, such as this one, or the same one actually as we have used before from Megasol. I will go to the next step. And now again, I can choose a tilt angle. For example, I can have it at, let's say in this case, 30 degrees. I click on Save Module Plan, and the changes are automatically applied. And we can see how the modules are now positioned on the roof, and the interference area is automatically excluded. In this case, the interference area is really low, so probably it will not cast any shadows. But if you want to, to know if it actually would affect your modules, you can click on Calculate Shades. So now the shading of this module is visualized, and you can see none of your modules would be affected. This shading, however, doesn't affect the horizon line here in the eDesigner. So this means it doesn't affect the energy results calculation. It's a useful tool for positioning your modules efficiently. So you can use it to estimate if it's worth positioning the modules here or not. And if you have like larger objects, such as a skyscraper next to your building, you should include it in the horizon manually. If you want to see how your whole building looks like, you can click on 3D Scene Total. And now the whole building, the base, let's say base building, and the tower is displayed here. You can click on Google Maps, hide buildings like before to have a nice vision of your system. If you want to include all of it in a report, you can go to Output, and there you can click on Report, and then you can select and deselect the important things for you. So I might deselect prices and BOM now, bill of materials, but I want assembly plan. I would like to have project master data. Once I have selected all important values, then I can click on project report, and again, a PDF report is automatically generated. Let's have a look at that report for now. It's just a little larger, so it might take a while until opening. And in the meanwhile, we can go back to the positioning. And for example, if you would like to know what's the distance between the modules, you can use the measurement tool here to easily have that displayed for you. And this helps you to pass on the information from you as a planner to the person, or maybe you install them yourself, the module, then you also have the information right at hand. What's the distance between the modules? Also, it's possible to, if, for example, let's say this module would be affected by the shading, you can rearrange the modules, you can delete one module, you can delete all of them. The easiest way to position the modules is click here on the module sign and then use the semi-automatic positioning of the modules. It's the second one from the left. With this one, you can just select the whole area, and then Polysun positions the modules automatically. If you would like to do it manually, you can, for example, also select a row of modules and start repositioning them. And you can also copy a series of modules. To do so, just select a few modules, click on the module option here, and choose the third option. And then you can actually place a whole row of modules. And if you just want to position a single module, you can use the first option. to have it all looking a little nicer, we can position it here in the center. And so far, we have been working with existing buildings. If we, however, want to work with new buildings, there's no data in Google Maps as we're working on a green field basically. Then we can import data from such as an aerial view and just draw over that aerial view. Let's see how that works. I will just open here this project. I will switch over to roof. I will choose again the same type, custom elevated, and I will just enter a height and go through this form again. And I will select the zone accordingly. And now here I have the option to import data. If I click on that, I can, for example, choose the aerial view of a building, and it will automatically load it here in our map on our site. And now when I want to see also Google Maps, I can click here on Google, and now I can see both the picture and Google Maps. And I can now click on Edit Background to position the background on the green field I would like to install the PV system. So I can click on that, drag it into the right area, rotate it so it's actually facing correctly, and I can also scale it. Once you're done with editing the background, you can click on Save Background, and as before, you can start drawing guiding lines and you can start drawing your building. I will just simply demonstrate it how it works. You could either you could draw completely the whole structure. I will just really simplify it, draw it like that. And you can see now it also shows the length of the building. And now actually you can compare, no, it should not be 21 meters. I actually know it should be 23 meters. Then you can start scaling the whole system. For example, you can type in 110 or 108. And then Polysun automatically scales the screenshot and also the drawing to the right size. When I click Save, this building is automatically taken into account. Never forget to include the orientation like that. It's always important, but never mind if you forgot something, you can always go back and change it. So you can always switch between the modules, make iterative changes, adapt something, and then also include new buildings in your existing plannings. So for example, the planning I have just started, the building I have just started here, I can click on eDesigner, and to the existing planning, I can simply add the new roofs. I will also need a new inverter layout. So it gets a bit more complicated, but that you have a large flexibility in our tool. So you can, for example, now add the tower to this planning. It will need to be re-simulated, and you need to also reset it. So you delete the inverter layout you have used. Polysun will simply find a new inverter layout for you from the large catalog base. I will click on Use Variations, and now I have promised you also I will show you how to actually export this project into Polysun. You can do so by clicking on Settings, and it only applies for this very planning. You can scroll down and then enable Polysun download, and this will allow you, when simulating the project, to create a PSE file which can then be downloaded and opened in Polysun. And there you can make additional changes, for example, changing the heat pump to a different one, like a different type, like with a ground source, for example. We're now almost getting to the end of the webinar. Is there any last questions I can ask? There's also one open question regarding Minergie in Switzerland. I will get back to you personally to answer that question, as this is like a special certification here in Switzerland. And please, again, I would like to invite you also to stay till the end. If you stay till the end, you will automatically get sent out the recording of our webinar today. And please feel free to order the free trial version, have a look. And also please have a look at our YouTube channel. If you type in Polysun SPT in YouTube, you will find a lot of different possibilities to deal with the software and to give you a head start. Also, please, if you have any questions at the end, just shoot them over to me and I'm more than happy to help you. If there's no more questions, I would like to close at this stage and wish you a really nice afternoon. And I hope we stay in touch. All the best. Bye-bye.